Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you to the Speaker and to the leadership for the warm welcome today at the House Republican Conference. I'll be meeting later today with members of the Senate at their weekly luncheon. And this is a day that our message is very simple. On behalf of the President-elect and on behalf of all the leadership, that we are 16 days away from the end of business as usual in Washington, D.C. Today our message is very simple. Working with the leadership here in the House and in the Senate, we're going to be in the promise-keeping business. The President-elect campaigned all across this country. He gave voice to the frustrations and the aspirations of the American people. He laid out an agenda to make America great again. And my message on his behalf today before this conference and before members of the Senate is that we intend to keep those promises. That begins with assembling a government and the energetic effort through the course of this transition to build a cabinet that will be able to implement that agenda. Speaks for itself. It'll literally begin on day one. Before the end of the day, we do anticipate that the President-elect will be in the Oval Office taking action to both repeal executive orders and also set into motion through executive action policies to implement promises that were made on the campaign trail. Working with the Congress, we're going to have that classic three-part agenda that the President-elect talked about so often on the campaign trail. Jobs, jobs, jobs. The focus is going to be from day one. And to work with the Congress, and you heard about the efforts this week, to begin to roll back the onerous regulations that have been stifling growth in the American economy and stifling jobs and opportunities. We're going to be working with the Congress over the course of the first several months to construct the kind of tax reform for businesses and individuals that will unleash the bound-up energy in the American economy. We're going to keep our promises to end illegal immigration, to build a wall. We'll have an infrastructure bill. We'll invest in rebuilding our military as our Commander-in-Chief marshals strategies with our military commanders to hunt down and destroy ISIS. But the first order of business is to repeal and replace Obamacare. And that was our message today, and it will be our message on Capitol Hill. And it needs to be done, not just as a promise kept, but because in the course of this election, the American people had a choice. And what appeared to many as against all odds, oftentimes with overwhelming opposition, our President-elect took his case to the American people to repeal and replace Obamacare, and the American people voted decisively for a better future for health care in this country. And we are determined to give them that. The reality is that I was here in March of 2010. In another capacity when Obamacare was signed into law. I remember all those promises. We were told that if you like your doctor, you can keep it. Not true. We were told if you liked your health insurance, you can keep it. Not true. We were told that the cost of health insurance was going to go down. Not true. The reality is today, premiums this year are increasing by an average of 25% in some states. In Arizona, premiums went up this year 116%. 63% in Tennessee, 53% in Pennsylvania, 40% in North Carolina. Obamacare has worked a hardship on American families, on American businesses, and in a very simple conclusion, the American people have sent new leadership here because Obamacare has failed, and it has been rejected by the American people. But now it's the time for us to keep our promises. Step one will be to repeal Obamacare. But as the President-elect said today, and I admonished members of the House Republican Conference today, it's important that they remind the American people of what they already know about Obamacare, that the promises that were made were all broken. And I expect you'll see an effort in the days ahead to talk about the facts around Obamacare. And secondly, of course, is to begin that orderly transition to something better. The truth is that the commitment that the President-elect made was to repeal and replace Obamacare. And as he said this morning in a tweet, it will be important that we be careful as we do that. that we do that in a way that doesn't work a hardship on American families who've gained insurance through this program, doesn't work a hardship on our economy. And as I told the House Republican Conference today, we're working on a strategy in concert with the leadership of the House and the Senate for both a legislative and executive action agenda to ensure that an orderly and smooth transition to a market-based health care reform system is achieved. The Speaker of the House used the word stable, and we will do that. In his famous speech in Philadelphia, the President-elect spoke about an orderly transition, and it will be that. But make no mistake about it, we're going to keep our promise to the American people, and we're going to repeal Obamacare and replace it with solutions that lower the cost of health insurance without growing the size of government. Now, there's a broad range of ideas about how we do this, and Republicans have been offering those ideas again and again, literally every year since Obamacare was first signed into law. We're going to be working with Dr. Price, both before and after his confirmation when he steps into the role at HHS, working with the Republican leadership in the House and the Senate to bring forward those solutions and to take the case for those solutions to the American people. With that being said, I couldn't be more humbled and more excited to be back in the Capitol today. I was encouraged by the President-elect to come here to Capitol Hill. It's the first full day of work for members of Congress because it's time to get back to work. And while others are visiting the Capitol today talking about defending the failed policies of the past, we are here today speaking to Republican majorities in the House and Senate to advance policies that will make America great again and have a more prosperous future for all the people of this nation.